We are live. Gonna see who ends up showing up. If you end up showing up, come on over and say hi. Oh. See if other people show up. Hi, Kathleen. So far, you're okay. Some people are coming. How are you? Doing well, hopefully. It's my first time doing a live stream by myself, because last few times I usually do it with somebody, but I thought I would just kind of wing it and do it with you guys. Oh, having the week off, that's nice. That's nice. We have a religious holiday on Thursday, so a lot of people are going to take Friday off, so it'll technically be a short week for us as well, which is a good week to have a short week. Who else do we have here? Oh, I'm drinking is called Erdbeer Lime, so it's strawberries, kind of like in a smoothie type form with alcohol. A friend of mine made this, and as a thank you, because I was helping her with her YouTube channel. So, post. Bravery juice, yeah. Yeah, pretty much. It's also celebratory juice. You have to. It's freshly made, so you gotta drink it while it's still good. Anything else new with you, Kathleen? Have some other people that have joined, it looks like. Yeah, you want to let me know who it is, where you guys are hailing from. What's the spoiler plan for this law? No spoilers. Yeah, no spoilers. No spoilers. In all honesty, I don't really have much planned. Hi, Shirley. Yeah, I'm not planning on spoilers. I definitely want to keep this forum rather open. We can, since the channel is all about like writing and living abroad, I figured, especially around this time, this is better for a German audience or European audience if they wanted to talk life in Europe or whatever. Because last time I did a live stream was for when the God Queen was released, and I did that at like 1 a.m. Europe time, so to cater to the American audiences, and that was really rough. Oh, nice camping. Oh yeah, that's right. It was Memorial Day weekend. That's really nice. Memorial weekend. One of the few times a year where the U.S. has off while we in Germany have to go to work. It's usually the other way around, especially in southern Germany. Oh. Let's see. Yes. Hi, Shirley. Shirley, you are the one that you are also here in Germany, correct? Just FYI, I'm streaming through StreamYard, and sometimes like if you write a comment, it will be delayed when it like comes to me. So hi. Awesome. And you are a writer as well, correct, Shirley? If I remember one of your comments. A poetry book. That is so cool. I mad respect for poetry. I can't write poetry. That is so awesome. Do you do like kind of a freestyle, or do you use like a certain like format? Like what? I guess I feel like I don't know much about poetry to be able to know how they're all differentiated, but what kind of poetry do you write? Mm. Mm-hmm. I like StreamYard. I've used it for like with other YouTubers. It's very user friendly. I really like that, especially when you're doing like a presentation, you can, have a certain like banners set up. So, or if you want to do, you can do a brand. And then, you can, if you pay premium, then you can get the logo. And then I think also when you pay premium, you can record for like as I'm doing this is live. Of course, it's recorded. This will stay on YouTube until I decide to, if I decide to delete it or whatever. But if I wanted to do something ahead of time, like when I was planning all of my author interviews. I originally wanted to use StreamYard because I like it. You can set up how you want like your characters, your folks, like to be organized on screen. But like I said, you have to pay for that. So I've been using Skype and Zoom for that, which have been okay. But personally, I found the quality with StreamYard to be better, but I didn't want to pay for it. Oh, I love that. Freestyle poetry about cats and nature. That is awesome. That is awesome. Cats are awesome. If I wrote any poetry, it would probably be about my dog, though. my little pug. She's currently outside with my husband. He's making a pizza. So you'll probably see his hand at some point feeding me. But yeah, I like StreamYard. I think it's a good platform for doing to do these sort of things. And but yeah, it would have been really nice to be able to use it for interviews. But I found personally of Skype and Zoom, I prefer Skype because it did the two videos together. With Zoom, I think you can do two. I've only done the Zoom once with my editor. Normally it does like who's ever talking then, but I don't know. It's been fun trying stuff out. Technology is interesting, but I have not heard of Crowdcast. Is that something like in your industry that they've been using, Kathleen? In lieu of fun. Is that like a YouTube channel or what is that exactly? I'll have to write that down. In lieu of fun. Dog, yeah. My dog, she's a character. It's very hard to do any filming when she's around because she likes to huff into the microphone because she has to sit in my lap, and I had to take out so many, like I had to cut so much where you just hear her go like right to the microphone. Super annoying. Look at this, in lieu of fun. Oh, nice. All right. Oh, political legal podcast. Cool. I see. Yeah. There's a podcast that I listen to. It's a platform good for getting more people on screen and having a robust chat. Yeah. That makes sense. Yeah. I found their YouTube channel where I guess they just do like the video they record, I guess when they're doing the audio recording, which is cool. That reminds me, like a podcast that I listen to is Americans in Germany Drinking Whiskey. It's a couple guys up in Berlin. They're super cool. And they also will like have cameras and they'll record as they're recording their podcast, so they can have like a video version of their podcast, which I think is quite brilliant. But most fun to watch on Crowdcast. Crowdcast. I will have to wait. Crowdcast, is that then the like a podcast? Look up Crowdcast. This is so interesting. Crowdcast. Webinars, live courses, online summit. This is very good to know. I will definitely probably even try this out next time I do interviews. I would love to actually interview any or couple of the writers who do the Perry Rodan series. I don't know what those of you who have seen Perry Rodan is like German science fiction. It's like the longest running science fiction series in the world, and it's German, and it's actually like a team of writers. That's how they're able to produce so regularly. So I would love to interview them, and since it is a team, I'm trying to see like who I could get, but that's down the line. I wanted to get through like this whole pre-sale thing first. But something like Crowdcast would be very interesting to use then if I want to interview multiple people, because Zoom is chaotic, and I haven't even. Skype could also be chaotic. I've gotten up to like 5 people before. Broadcast to other streaming services. That is brilliant. That is brilliant. Okay, that is good to know. I will definitely look into Crowdcast for future stuff. Thank you so much, Kath. Mm-hmm. It'd be good for multiple, definitely. Shirley, I saw that you had a question back on when I did my community post. Something I think about concerning American taxes while in Germany. You can ask away. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Very, very excited that the book is out. It feels, I've been doing this pre-sale. It feels like so long that it's like now that it's here, I'm like, it's very kind of a weird feeling, but I'm so glad that it's out, because it's been here. I can physically touch it. So it's like the weird disconnect where it's like no one else can get it, but I have it. So I'm very happy that it's out now. So, and welcome S Mayday. Comparisons between the first and second book. That's good. So, well, the thing is, okay. So when I wrote the first book, one of my biggest problems with writing is that I always have like so many ideas and too many ideas, and I think part of that has to do with growing up with Latin telenovelas, where it's like 13 million storylines, and well, and with the God Queen, I pantsed it. So if you're not familiar, there's pantsing and plotting, or gardening and architect. It depends on their different. It's very difficult to understand German text. Oh, yes, I will actually get to that in a moment. So I literally, like with the God Queen, I just wrote it. And then I rewrote it and rewrote it and rewrote it, and I had like the semblance of a story. And I originally, when I wrote it, I also had like a point of view chapter of like each of the characters at some point. So it was like 6 or 7 POVs. It was nuts. And one of my editors, I worked with one editor. She was just starting out, and so like she did it in exchange for a review. And her thing was, you need a hero. Like you need to you need to let your readers know who is the person they should root for. And in traditional publishing, they recommend no more than 6 POVs. But I mean, like, you don't want to do that much anyway. How many books my series have at the moment is planned for 5, but it could very well be 4. We're not sure yet. I'm working on book 3. So with the first series, the first book, it was completely pantsed, and I, had to take some stuff out. The points of views then had to be reduced to just Ray and Bronx. Then, as I ended up working with my actual, like my proper editor, then she literally had me, like, she made a list of all the conflicts that I had come up with. And I saw how, like, it was too much. It was too much for the story. So I took a lot of that stuff out, mostly having to do with Kramer, who's essentially the big bad of the series. and I took him out and decided that he would then be the main attraction, like the main storyline for book 2. So what I had planned for book 2 is now book 3 because of this book. And this one, I plotted it completely. I knew exactly how many chapters. I knew what was happening in each chapter. I didn't go like so much into detail, but it worked out. Like it, I still like to have I have to have an idea of where I'm going, but I do like to let my characters kind of figure out how they're going to get to that journey, or like I want them to go from A to B, but I let them figure out how they'll get from A to B. So there's this weird combination of pantsing or plotting. Yes, with German taxes, to be honest, we hire somebody with the German taxes. In terms of the US taxes, I use expat tax, my expat taxes, which I did a video. I was actually sponsored by them recently. They are brilliant. It's super easy to use. And I still have to do my taxes. I haven't done them yet. But for expats, they're due June 15th. So I still have a little bit of time. It's easier to write. The second book was definitely easier to write. I was able to write it a lot faster because plotting was so much easier, simply because I knew where I was going. And I knew some things needed to change, but the idea was to get that first draft out. Like you can't fix anything if there's nothing to fix. So it's very important to just get that first draft out. And it was very rough, that first draft, but once it was there, the actual editing process and revising went by a lot faster. So yeah, the second book was much easier to write. And I'm very excited for the third one. And my anthology, that's actually what's going to be happening next is a short story anthology. So that'll be fun. More people are joining us. Hello, folks. Where are you hailing from? Wonderful people. Shirley, I remember you had also asked in your question about taxes. I think there was something about the U.S. taxes. I think you also had a question about, if I remember correctly. The books at the moment, yes, they are in chronological order. Yeah, the anthology that I plan on doing will be all prequels. So there is a prequel that is out for my newsletter subscribers. That takes place about 10 years before the God Queen. So the anthology will then, take place essentially from that until like the beginning of the God Queen. And my plan is essentially all of the side characters will kind of have like their own POV, some kind of, I don't know about origin story, but there's a lot of background history that is only touched on, because since these follow, just a few points of view, then, you only get like part of the picture. And in earlier drafts of the God Queen, like I said, when I had those older POVs, you saw more of those histories and those stories. But since I had to take them out and they were still written, those stories are still there, I thought, what better way of being able to present them than have them be actual like short story anthologies. So, other books and movies that inspired The Last Imperator. Well, in general, the two big loves at the time that I created this world, I was like 13, 14 years old when I first created this world, was Star Wars and Sailor Moon. That's why I have Sailor Jupiter here. Yay. And I also, Sailor Jupiter up here too. So like the main character Rey is kind of inspired by Sailor Jupiter because she's the best Sailor Scout. Sorry, Kathleen, no ifs, ands, or buts. And but as I got older, then like other things inspired. I loved the idea of, with Dune or with the Grisha trilogy, talking the idea of, or even with the Hunger Games, looking at the idea of celebrity in a more modern context, and how people can use a celebrity to influence. Oh, good. Okay, you do understand everything. Good. All right. Sorry. Just about Shirley and the taxes. So I'm glad that worked out. But anyway, oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. Oh crap, what am I talking about? Yeah. So the idea of celebrity and the idea of like having in today's influencer world, how like one or two people, because just by tweeting or whatever, can influence so much. And not that I go that route, there's not really social media in my universe. But it's still the idea of like how everybody will look to one person who represents some ideology or is representative of something, and what that kind of pressure feels like. And no, Sailor Mercury is not the best, Kathleen. Sorry, it's Sailor Jupiter. And Shirley also asked, oh, thank you for buying the God Queen, by the way. And how many years did it take me to write it? So, it was a long time. Like I said, the first draft I ever wrote, I was 13. I will be 35 this month. So that says anything. So it took a long time. I can't even remember how many versions there are. They still always revolved around Ray and Bronx, who are my two like main couple. Of course, when I started writing at like 13 or 14, they were also like 13, 14, 15. And then as I got older, they also got older, like with each revision. I eventually, stopped them. Like they're in their 20s, FYI. They're in their 20s. I was like, we're gonna have them be adults. This is I consider this a new adult series, but it is still more in the direction of adult because of content and the fact that my characters are adults. And so in the end, it ended up making a different take on like a lot of chosen one stories. You just see a few drafts. I'm so sorry, Kathleen, these solo drafts. The idea, like most stories where you have the young person who discovers they have magical powers, they're almost always young adult. They're almost always teenagers because it's very popular. But in this one, you have characters that are in their like almost mid-20s before anything ever happens. And so that you don't actually see that very often in stories where you have an adult, like very latent powers that appear. And so you have, instead of having to deal with teenage problems, you deal with very much adult problems on top of suddenly learning that you have a very deadly power that you also have to contend with. So that was very fun. Very fun to write, and I've been enjoying this world a lot. I think next time you guys ask questions, I will actually show these, because I'm trying to think for like the replay for people who are watching this. Sorry, by the way, but I mean the comments should show up anyway on the replay, but I think it may be easier down the line if I like actually show up across here. Yes, we have a thumbs up here. Good to know. Yay. Yay, thumbs up. Oh, yes, at some point I also have my winners for the pre-sale giveaway. I think maybe now I can at least announce one of them. I have 2 prizes. The prize winners, they will get, I say 2 because there's, like, what am I doing here? Like this. I have a Ray prize and a Bronx prize. It includes a signed hardback of The Last Imperator, signed art, so either a Ray or a Bronx. I also have candles, which you can see. There's one candle. Oh, it won't be these specific candle. So the Ray one is vanilla and sandalwood, and the Bronx one is lavender and sage, as well as some bookmarks and stickers and good stuff. So the first winner, which will be, I need to, oh my gosh, I still have, these are the banners from the that tells you the last time I've been on StreamYard. So the first winner of the Ray Prize is I do this. Paula McFarland! Yay! Super exciting. So I will be sending you your prize. Very exciting. And later on, I will then announce the other one, which is for the Bronx Prize. Can you talk about the characters have changed as you continue to grow? That's a good question. I will show this. Can you talk about how characters have changed as you continue to grow as a person or an author? Yeah, like, I mean, the big thing, like I said, when I first started writing the characters, I was like 13, 14 years old. And oh, okay. Hearing noises. I was 13, 14 years old. So were these characters. And so, like, I think the biggest thing that I had trouble with was wanting to write romance. Like, I had these 2 characters that I wanted them to get together, but 13, 14 years old, like, what is your concept of romance? It's, you don't know. And so, like, as I grew older and also gained experience, they say write what you know, or write what you can research. And of course, when, like, as I gained more experience, and as I gained more experience, then I utilized that also in terms of allowing these characters to have their own experiences as well. I think one of the other things that I also did was very popular trope in YA is having, like, the broody male counterpart. And of course, like, I think when we were all younger, we liked that idea of the broody, mysterious guy. But and this is around the time that, like, Twilight was out, for example. And the thing that kind of bothered me with Twilight was that Edward didn't really have a reason to be broody or angsty. He chose to be a vampire. I'm sorry, this is spoilers, but, like, all he had to do was, like, every 5 years return to high school, I guess, which may be a nightmare in and of itself. I'm not entirely sure. But it wasn't enough. So it's like, if you're gonna give somebody, like, angst, or you're gonna give them some, look at emotional wounds. There's a really great book, The Emotional Wounds Thesaurus, the Thesaurus series by Angela Ackerman and Becca Puglisi. Sorry, Becca Puglisi. Where you can actually, like, look up, like, what kind of emotional wound can cause, like, what kind of reaction, or like that is, like, this emotional wound that is a symptom to something larger. And so, yeah, I really wanted to dive into, like, as an adult why our characters the way they are. Like, it's not enough to say, oh, they do this. You have to give them a reason and it helps them be more fleshed out. So, and that's all that just came with age and experience, that as I realized, things are not black and white, then my characters could also not, their experiences could also not be black and white, and neither could my characters. I tried very hard not to make them very like stark contrast. I wanted them to have a little gray area depending on what the situation is or what their morals are or what their background is. So we got another question here, which is, can you tell us which scene or twist is your favorite without spoilers? Dude, like, my favorite twist is a spoiler, so I can't tell you that. Try to think what would be a good one without spoilers. Okay, I will say scenes in general that I do love writing is putting Ray and Bronx together in a room. They're just fun. They're just fun to write. They play off each other really well, and so I love that. Those are always my favorite. Putting them in a room together and just kind of see what happens, because their conversation is usually very organic, and it just kind of, I don't know, it just works out. They have very strong voices in my head, so it's really fun. But those are always my favorite. I always get very excited. And yes, thank you so much, Shirley, that you got it. And yes, I have been very fortunate so far. The reviews I've gotten for The Last Imperator from my ARC readers have been very good. I was very surprised. I mean, not that I think it would be terrible, but you put your book out there and you hope people find it entertaining, and I didn't know how they would interpret it. There's a huge twist that happens, and I didn't know how people were going to react, but so far it has been positive. So that's been a really great feeling. Is that what I think it is? You're the best. Yes. Here, we're going to haben. Or not. My pizza has arrived. I'm so excited. Go grab homemade pizza that we put together, and we last year, because of the Rona, and since we couldn't go anywhere, we invested in a Traeger grill, a pellets grill, so we can have like the control of a gas grill, but with still getting like the smoky flavor of charcoal. All right, here's a good question. Do you find it easy to write from a male perspective? What input do you get from men? That's a great question. To be honest, like that's one of those things where, you want to get like sensitivity. Well, sensitivity readers are more for like if you're writing from somebody from the LGBTQ community, or somebody especially from a minority that you have no experience like from, that's not your own personal experience. As opposed to male perspective, I feel like I write like a lot of other romance writers, where I guess maybe some of the language may be a little more flowery than your average dude. I don't know. I honestly have not really spoken to a lot of dudes in terms of like Bronx's POV. However, it's like when it comes to, the way people interpret your book, obviously they're allowed to interpret however they want. I don't, the reviews that I have gotten from guys have been positive. So I feel like I haven't like gone too out there, But at the same time, there could easily be somebody who reads it and thinks that I was absolutely wrong, and which is totally legit. Everybody's entitled to their opinion. I just have not read a review specific about that. But I do find it I don't necessarily try to think, like, when I write from Bronx's POV, what can I do to make it obvious that he's a dude? Because, like, there's a lot of conversations in the other direction about males writing from a female perspective. And there are some really terrible examples out there. But of, like, I don't want to go into detail because some of it's unfortunately rather graphic and rather crass. And but I try not to think of, like, what a character is going through in terms of, like, gender, mostly because my story is not. I feel like if I was writing a story that did focus on gender more and, like, societal norms, then maybe that might be something to think about. But actually, to go with the next question, who's your favorite male author who can capture the female perspective? I would say George R.R. Martin, because he was asked this very question, like, how do you write women? And he goes, it's easy. I pretend they're people. I think I'm paraphrasing the quote, but it is very much that, where it goes, I feel like, in the opposite direction. Like, I'm not trying to think of any of my characters in terms of what their gender is or their sexuality. They are simply characters. They do have a gender, but it is just an aspect of who they are. It is not something that's so defining that everything that they do revolves around what their gender is. And so I try not to focus on that. I just focus on, like, I don't know, I feel like with writing two characters, if you write it correctly, what you want, say with romance, it's important that, say, you have, it won't, if you write it correctly, it won't matter what their gender is, or it won't matter what their race or their sexuality is, because it is two souls in love. Because the feelings are always the same. The like, how you feel being with that person is always going to be, a lot of that is very universal. Of course, there's some aspects that are gender specific, but for the most part, you can get away with just looking at them as just a personality, a person, and you don't worry about the gender. Because I feel like if you start worrying about the gender, or, like, it's, dealing with somebody from the LGBTQ community or from race, you can easily fall into stereotypes, because you feel like, oh, I have to do something to make it very obvious that this character is Black or this character is gay. And if you end up resorting to stereotypes, that's where you get into problems. And I try very hard not to do that. I hope that makes sense. I feel like I'm rambling. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Shirley said she loved the cover design, which I did myself. I do actually have the original cover. If I can get it. So this is the original cover of the God Queen, which I also designed. So actually, when I did change the covers, I ordered at least 5 copies of this original cover. So, like, maybe down the line, I will give these away as part of, like, some fun giveaway. But there are only, like, these copies left, which is exciting. But yeah, then I went and that's one thing that you learn very quickly with writing, with cover design. when you're an indie author, like you get this idea that you want to, you may know how you want your cover to look, and that's great. But in the end, you have to create something that sells, because as much as we say, don't judge a book by its cover, we judge a book by its cover. And yeah, as much as it sucks, you do. And so that's why a lot of other authors will recommend that you do pay for a designer to design your book, because it is a lot of work. Like, between this cover and this cover was like a year of work. It was about a year of learning the process of like proper design, what sells, how to, like create these images in a way that so all these pieces mesh together. Like, it's a lot of people assume you can just create some, like general photo and that will be enough so you can save money, because hiring a professional is very expensive, or it can be very expensive. But for me, I love doing this sort of thing. So I knew that it was going to take time, and it was not something I was going to just figure out overnight. It is a constant journey and a constant process. And I also have a Facebook group that I joined that's full of amateurs and professionals who I went to often with all of these edits, and so that they could give me feedback. And I remember when I came with this one, their first response was, go on Amazon and look at what sells, because this isn't it. And my ego was like, no. I didn't want to believe them. And I mean, I love this color. I love the cover. I love the color and everything, but it's true. It's very true. Like, if you look at space operas, they will look actually more like the Last Imperator, because it's a spaceship and there's planets. Like, this one, the God Queen, is, I will admit, like, it's the color scheme is not one you see very often, but the color scheme for the Last Imperator you do see. But yeah, that came with that it was a very humbling experience doing the cover design, because after a while you realize it's just a part of marketing. It's a part of the process. And sometimes you need to put your ego aside to make sure you come up with the right product, because if people don't like the cover, they won't even click on it to look at the blurb. And if they don't like the blurb, then they won't buy your book. And it's all this cascade that you have to think about. Thank you. Yes. Yeah, I did do it myself. The covers. Though like going through this whole process of, when you do self-publishing and you have to wear so many hats and do it yourself, it's very humbling, because you realize that when you go traditional publishing, how much having that team really helps you, having the team that knows how to make that cover, or having that editor, or knowing, how to target that target audience the best. And there's so much to it. And when you're doing it all by yourself, it's a lot. It is a lot. And it's an ongoing process, and you will always be learning. And yeah, it's a humbling experience. I'm glad that I did it, because I want to be a hybrid author. I want to go traditional publishing. And having gone through self with this series, on the one hand, like, I'm glad I went self-publishing with the series, because I like having control. I love with this, this baby's that I'm taking control and I'm doing it all myself. But I have a lot of other projects that are currently in the pipeline that I'm more than happy to have a team help out and go the publishing, the traditional publishing route. So that is the plan for other projects. And Kathleen wants to know, how's the pizza? Pizza is very good. Apparently it is very crunchy. And that is because I have added like this to make it spicier. It's actually like habanero flavored chips. It's actually too hot for me to eat by myself. And if you know how much I love to eat hot food, like that says a lot. But I crushed it up and made it into like an herb. And so I can put on pizza because I like eating spicy pizza. Sorry, I don't know if you heard that. That was my husband complaining because he's also watching and he apparently can hear me crunch. Good times, good times. I'm hungry. I can't help it. I see more people have been joining in. Hello. I think now would be a good time to announce the second winner of this pre-sale giveaway. I'm going to write the here. So the second prize is for the Bronx theme prize, and the winner is Tabea Hilmeier. Woohoo! So Tabea, I will be sending you your prize as soon as possible. Yeah. Good times. Mm-hmm. So we're getting close to the hour mark. Oh, hello there. Hi. How are you doing? Mr. TH is here. I'm going to say quick, he says hello, hello. Oh man, this of course is a word I cannot pronounce in German. Eichhörnchen. This is squirrel in German. You have to go with the name that I can't pronounce too. Hello though, by the way. Thank you so much for joining. And yes, Shirley, yes, thank you so much. Yeah, to have done, and that is one of the things, like, people assume that being an indie author is easy. I will say it is easy to, yes, all you have to do is that you have to, it doesn't take much effort to just upload whatever you want, say onto Kindle Unlimited or onto Kindle, for example. But and because of that, there is a lot of bad quality writing out there, and it does bring the overall quality or the overall reputation of indie authors down, as opposed to those who, try to invest in good editors and invest in great cover design and invest in, all the things that a traditional house would do it, but essentially from your own pocket, to make sure that you are producing the best quality book for an audience. But I will say that after the first book is what I learned even more, like, especially in terms of marketing and learning more about, like, reading the market and seeing how, like, what can I do to help with selling a book? Because, the first half is just figuring out, how do you write a book? How do you get, like, the best possible product out there? And then the second half is, how do I get it to is it typical, like, oh, sorry. Another comment. Is it, I lost my train of thought. I'm very sorry. I am actually live, Axel. I am live. Definitely is not a live reel. I'm here using StreamYard, and everything's happening in real time. Well, as real time as possible, because like I said, the comments take a little time to get from YouTube over to me here on StreamYard, but they are there. Oh, thank you, Shirley. Yes, good appetit. Yes, it's very delicious. Very delicious pizza, by the way. My husband's very good with the grill. I put the stuff on there myself, but then he cooked it for me because he's a good one. What is the plan for ordering autographed copies of the new book? Oh, that is a good question. So I would very much like to set up selling autographed copies. However, something I would have to think about. Because so there's this video a while back that I did concerning how was my tax status here in Germany. So there is freelance and there is it's freiberuflich and Gewerbe. I can't remember what Gewerbe is in English. And essentially the difference is like freelance is you're selling knowledge, and then Gewerbe is you're actually selling a specific product. So like I have a friend who distills his own brand, his own schnapps. So he'd be Gewerbe. And that requires like different tax stuff because he also has to take into account all of the oh yes, congratulations on the winners. He has to take into account all the taxes for like all of the materials he uses for creating the schnapps, like the bottle, the corks, the actual ingredients, and the electricity in order to run the distill and all that stuff. As opposed to me being a writer of, especially being an indie author, where somebody else puts the book together, somebody else, sends the books out. Like essentially I have literally just dumped what was in my head onto the page. However, if I start officially if I were to actually sell the books myself in terms of a physical copy for an autograph, then I would have to technically change my tax status. If I want to sell it from, say, my website, but I don't know. I wonder maybe if I could do something through an Etsy shop, something like a limited amount, not something that's a regular selling, because then I don't know. That's something that I would need to talk with my tax advisor, but because there's this difference here in Germany, it's something that I have to take into account. So at the moment, the only way to get autographed copies would be through giveaways. So yeah, Germany is a tax nightmare. I know it is. It is. I'm very fortunate that we hire somebody that helps us out, because yeah, it is. Because I mean, not just this, but we also have like the family farm and everything. So that's there's a lot of complications, and we're very fortunate we have someone with that. So I have somebody, if down the line, I think if my sales, like when my sales go up or whatever, and there is more demand for autographed copies, it is something that I would consider. I would like to also open a merchandise shop down the line, and all that falls under Gewerbe. So then once I get to that point, then I will definitely be making an announcement for like how I would do autographed copies. So I want to do it. It's just at the moment a little too complicated tax wise. So like I said, I would rather just do it with giveaways just to keep it easier. But that would be something I would need to talk to my tax advisor about, how to best go about doing that, because we don't want to break the law. And Axel is here because he's a Perry Rodan fan. Huzzah! Liebe alles, was mit Sci-Fi zu tun. Also mein Buch ist noch nicht auf Deutsch, aber ich habe schon angefangen zu übersetzen. So the question is is my book in German? At the moment, it is not. I have started the process of translating it. That is the plan. It is a plan. I would like to have it translated into German and into Spanish. Unfortunately, though, it's not there yet, but the process has started. So. Oh, I like this. The official version of good quality writing is everybody dies at the end, but it has to be a sad death. Yes, I do agree with that in a sense that like it has to be a death with meaning if you're gonna kill everybody at the end. This just reminded me of a movie I saw. I'm not gonna say what the movie is because I don't want to give away spoilers. It's on Netflix, by the way. Just came out. Everybody dies in the end. But I think, yeah, George R. R. Martin said something about that in regards to A Song of Ice and Fire. Oh, yes. Hello, Pineapple Pizza. There'll be a Spanish translation as well. Yes. Where he talked about, I think, in regards to the Red Wedding or something about the idea of like, yeah, you can, because for his, in A Song of Ice and Fire, the deaths kind of feel random, like, because he doesn't follow the traditional tropes. You have the hero in the first book of Game of Thrones, and that character is killed off, and you think, oh my gosh, like, you killed off the hero, how dare you? That does not work in traditional fantasy. And that's what he's doing, is saying screw that trope. But the death has meaning because it causes a catalyst for more things to happen. It's not a needless death. It's death with a purpose. So while it may feel like it's needless, it's not. It's very much, in terms of writing, it's planned in the grand scheme of things. So yes, everybody dies at the end, but it has to be a sad death. So Pineapple Pizza, where are you hailing from? If you're waiting for a Spanish translation, are you here in Europe? Are you in Latin America? The death has meaning. Tell that to the wife of the hero. Yeah, this is true. This is very true. Costa Rica. Very cool. Hello, Costa Rica. My cousin used to live there. He was a chef, and out in the jungle. Like, I would see photos of his house, and he was like right on the ocean, and it was just, it was so beautiful. But now he's back in Peru. But he lived in Costa Rica for a number of years. Very cool. Hello, Bavaria. Yay. Bayern. Servus. Servus. Oh, yes, the tax system. Yeah, German tax system is very complicated. What aggravated me, actually, more than anything, more than the German tax system, was the fact that I still had to fill out American taxes, even though I live in Germany. But I mean, it's okay. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. Oh yeah, sorry. Yeah, we are talking about mostly book stuff. But lovely Shirley here we had talked earlier about US and German tax systems and English tax systems as well. And so it just it was a topic from earlier. But at the moment, mostly my questions have been concerning the book series. And so I'm trying to answer process and keeping things spoiler free. So those of you who watch on the replay will see that I try to keep things spoiler free. I don't want to ruin your guys' reading experience. I want you to enjoy it at your own pace. Taxes is getting serious. Yeah, that's it's like the not fun part of being an author is all like the administrative, like financial stuff that you also have to do, where you think, oh, I just want to write. And unfortunately, being a writer today, even if you go traditionally published, it's not just that anymore. So. A sci-fi tax novel. That's brilliant. Get the chance to get to the big book convention in Frankfurt. I would love to even just go. I've been wanting to go to the Buchmesse in Frankfurt for the longest time. And for the rest of you who are unaware, the book convention in Frankfurt, it is the largest book convention in the world. And it is like a few hours away from where I live. And I want to go so badly. It also falls always during the weekend of Mooswiese, which is like this holy time here in this area. So trying to get away during that time is, it's hard. But I am planning on doing it. I very much would like to go to the book convention. So it's going to happen. It's going to happen. Hopefully when we're able to like be in public again. Obviously not this year. It's not going to happen, but maybe next year I would love to do it. So I will definitely make an announcement through like social media if I'm able to go. So I would go. And okay, next question is, what real world things do you incorporate into stories, taxes and eating? I love food. So I definitely try to put in food. I actually made a Spätzle and Linsen reference in The God Queen. For my German audience there. I don't call it Spätzle and Linsen. I try to call it something very in English. But that is referenced in there. Oh no, I also reference a Moss, the 1 liter beer, but it's not a beer, but it's a liter drink. Only because it's fun. It's really fun to like add these little things. Like it doesn't necessarily have to be I like I said, I don't call it these things because this is set in a far distant future. So, like the concept of what the the concept of like what are today's countries and cultures may not exist that far in the future. So I can't have it be a one-to-one thing, but still the idea of like Spätzle and Linsen or egg noodles and lentils, like, yeah, that food can still be there. You just may not call it that. Or the idea of somebody wanting to drink a liter of something, you can have that. It's, it could be called something similar because language evolves. But the idea is that you can still adopt from different things. And I wanted these things to be something a little different because, especially as an English speaker, if we take from anything in terms like from any culture in terms, especially of like fantasy, we always take from like England because that's like our default. But Europe has more countries, and we are starting to see some fantasy where they do other cultures like Blood and Honey. Snake and the Dove, for example, has a French feel to it, or the Grisha trilogy has a Russian feeling, or the Six of Crows is more like Rotterdam, Netherlands, but you don't see really German. So I was like, I'm gonna take. And somebody asked me about Inca references, and not yet. There are some Peruvian references, but that will actually be shown more in the third book. I am actually wanting to do a fairy tale retelling, but an Incan fairy tale retelling, because there's a lot of really cool fairy tales, and to kind of like tap into my Peruvian roots and to do that. But at the moment, no, but they are there. I just haven't had an opportunity to show them yet in this world. Question: do you use some places in Germany in your scenery? I did, actually, especially in the God Queen. I've used the city of Lindau, Bavaria. It's not Lindau, Bavaria, but I describe like the description, the way the old city is laid out. I use that as inspiration for one town. The ruins of Hohentuil, which is near Singen, that's also on Bodensee, on Lake Constance, was also an inspiration for ruins in the God Queen. I'm trying to think. Those were the big ones. I did use the description of Neuschwanstein for a castle that is like very briefly mentioned. In the Last Imperator, sorry. This is like this is like mirror image for me, so I'm trying to like figure out like which direction I need to look. In the Last Imperator, it actually takes more. The majority of the book takes place in space more than the God Queen, so you don't necessarily see the like any places that I have based on. But yeah, you see more of it in the God Queen. I would like to use more just because Germany has such beautiful scenery, and I really enjoyed using Lindau and using Hohentuil, because that was, yeah. I did a video on Hohentuil recently to kind of give it an idea of it, and and I even read from like an excerpt from the God Queen where I described it. So the question: where can you find the best lomo saltado here in Germany? That's a good question. My kitchen. That's the best place. I have only tried one Peruvian restaurant in Nuremberg, and that was good. That was very good food. Schwanstein is basically the blueprint for a fantasy castle. It's so true. But what I described from it wasn't just the castle, but I just love how it's like against the mountain, and it's this picturesque view, just as a whole, not just the castle itself, though the castle is very like, it's obscene when you look at it and you think this is ridiculous. Anyway, so back to Lomo Saltado. Lomo Saltado, Nuremberg. There is a Peruvian restaurant. It's not too far from the castle in the old city. That was very good. I've looked in Munich. There are quite a few Peruvian restaurants I would like to try out, but apparently in Europe, one of the best places to go is in Milan. And I know this from other Peruvians that live like in Switzerland and stuff. They recommend going to Milan because it has one of the largest populations of Peruvians in Europe. And like they actually do a marinera competitions, and marinera is the national dance of Peru. There is a video where they did a flash mob marinera at like in front of the Duomo in Milan. And there are Peruvian restaurants there that apparently it is like walking off the street of Lima into these restaurants. So that is a goal, is to go back and to try these restaurants. And I will get back to you on that. And synopsis in Espanol. Synopsis de qué? The God Queen or Last Imperator? This is the question. Or the series as a whole. That's the question, right? The series, okay. Bueno. Rebirth se trata de un mundo donde hay dos religiones, uno de un dios que es similar de la religión de cristianismo, y también otra religión con muchos dioses. Y se parece como la religión de Grecia. Y cada de los dioses tiene algunos poderes de los elementos, alguien puede hacer de rayas, alguien puede de plantas o animales o ilusión. Y hay una profecía de que la mitad de los dioses han sido matados por el emperador, el último emperador, y, y van a renacer, van a regresar para terminar la guerra que han empezado en su otra vida. Y o sea, esa serie se trata de esos 6 personas que han regresado para terminar esa guerra. I hope that helped. That made sense to everybody, right? I'm a little rusty with Spanish. I don't really get to practice it very often since my brain is mostly like if I need to speak a foreign language, it goes default to German. So I have to like sit and think and make sure that I'm not saying something in German when I want to say something in Spanish. Good. Are your book translated for the Spanish speaking market? Not yet. It will be. That is another thing I have. I'm like but one of the reasons why I want to have that translated in German and in Spanish is because here in Germany, like even like in our village, for example, I am asked quite regularly when the German version is coming out. And in terms of the Spanish speaking market as well, I have a lot of relatives that of course want to support, and the Latin community is very big. And I would very much like to have it translated there. It's a big market to get into. So what's the hurdle? Time. that's the hurdle at the moment is it's time, because working a full-time job, and I mean the translation, the first draft is done. I do need to just suck it up and go through it, both Spanish and in German, to make sure that it's consistent. And then start getting more native speakers to also do a run through as well, and then hire an editor, because I want to make sure that it's a quality product. Like, just because it's translated in a different language, that while I am fluent in German and in Spanish, I do not have the same command of the languages as I do with English. So I cannot guarantee, if I did it myself, heck, even with writing it in English, I still hire a professional, because I can't do everything. So I want to make sure that the finished product is the best that it can be. So it's time, because like I said, translating that, working on my anthology, and working on, at the moment also, I'm writing another book that is not science fiction. It's very much outside of what I normally write. And that one, fortunately, I'm getting to the point where I can kind of put that to the side soon, so I can get back to science fiction, get back to this world. What advice would you give me if I wanted to start a YouTube channel in 2021? Big advice is to start. The learning curve is very steep when you get started. There's so much you can plan as much as you want, of course. Like, you can plan what your theme is going to be, what, like if you want to go for your color scheme or your structure of your videos. But know that the stuff will change over time. You will figure out your voice. I actually don't look at my old videos, but there's a few times that those old videos pop up and I'm very stilted. I'm very awkward, and that's okay. I learned from that. In terms of mistakes, what mistakes should I avoid? I would say try not to do so many things, like figure out one topic and stick with it. Unfortunately, the algorithm is very much wants you to dance to the beat of its drum. There's a video by Evan Edinger, who's another expat. He's an American who lives in England. He loves talking about Bitcoin. He loves talking about a whole bunch of other stuff. But whenever he does something that's outside of his expat bread and butter, YouTube essentially punishes him for it. And I will admit, I kind of get that as well here as well, because I do like talking about living abroad. I like talking about writing. Unfortunately, technically, I should pick one or the other, and I don't like having to do that. I don't think that's fun, but that is the truth of it. If you want to grow faster, I feel like grow faster first. Like get that audience, find that loyal base, the people that are here for you. That's the important thing about figuring out your voice, and you only figure out your voice by doing. Like I said, there's only so much you can plan, and the rest of it you just have to turn on a camera and just start. And eventually you'll figure out what makes you the most comfortable in front of a camera. And once you figure that out, then it becomes a lot easier to figure out like more of the structure and everything. But in the end, stick with 7 days when they get upload filters. When you pick a topic and you get that audience that comes for you as a personality. Then again, with Evan Erdinger, he's like with 600,000 followers or subscribers. And like I said, you notice a difference in views because YouTube just doesn't show the other content as much as it shows, say, the expat content. So it's just, I guess in terms of mistake, you have to decide what you want to do. Like I said, I still like talking about writing and living abroad. Technically, I guess my numbers may suffer for it because I'm not sticking to one topic, but I enjoy doing it. And in the end, if you want to play the long game, you have to enjoy it. Don't try to do it for the numbers because you'll burn out a lot faster. Do it because you enjoy it. All right. So next topic, who is my favorite character in the book? Oh, that's so tough. That's like picking my favorite child. Oh, that is a good question. I'm trying to think I feel like it's whoever's in the, let's see. I have some character art here. You have like my 7. This is my 7, right? Here's like the main ones. In terms of them, I mean, like Ray and Bronx are my babies. I love my babies. They, if you want to get clearer pictures of them, I did upload these onto my Instagram and also on my website. Actually, I have a whole section where you can get you see the full size photos of these. So good. This is by artist Odette A. Bach. She's amazing. They look like they're real people. Of these 7, it depends. Like, it depends on what the situation is. I love Ray and Bronx when I put them together, but then I love Krona because she is like my voice of reason. Whenever a character is acting like an idiot, she's just like idiot, and it's very fun. It's rather meta. I have more. So I actually had 14 images done. So I love like Bernie. She's also another favorite because she's just so much fun to write. She's so sassy. And she has like this phrase. She says shit the bed a lot. It's very fun. Actually, a lot of parents pick their favorite child. We don't judge. I'm so glad you don't judge. It means a lot. It means a lot. But yeah, it's hard to pick. It's hard to pick favorite characters. Like I said, it just depends on the situation, and they may be the one at that moment where I'm like, oh, what crazy thing are you gonna come up with? Oh, I'm excited. Yeah, it's very fun. What's the number of prints for a first time? What do you mean number of prints? Like what's the like number of sales or? number of prints did I get myself? For the first run, oh, that's tough. They say I think the average indie book throughout its lifetime sells 100 books in its lifetime, and I've passed that, not by much. But I've also the book has been out for just over a year. The first book, like a year and a half at this point. So hitting that within the first year was very good with somebody who had like no platform. That is one thing a lot of authors will tell you is the importance of a platform, and especially if you're going the indie route, it is so important to have a platform. I literally started this YouTube channel like a month or like 2 weeks before the release of The God Queen. Yeah, like that is the equivalent of not having a platform at all. So but yeah, so the number of prints for the first time author for I guess indie author would be, if you do nothing, I feel like it could be 100 books within his lifetime. So that's like I said, the importance of having a platform and working on marketing and whatnot. And that's why, for example, I had to change the covers. I don't know if Cowglow had seen this earlier, but when I first published The God Queen, it looked like this. This did not sell very well. Once I changed to this cover, then my sales went up because it was more of what is appropriate for the genre. And then there's also an ebook for even a different version for the ebook version of this that I've been also playing with. And that is the benefit of doing it myself, where if I feel like I want to experiment with a cover or experiment with something, I can do it, and it costs me time. It doesn't cost me money, as opposed to if you hire a professional. Do I listen to music while writing? I do. I actually have a soundtrack for each of the books. They are on Spotify. I think they are actually, if you look at the description of, even for this episode, for this live stream, I do have links to the playlists for both books. And I prefer listening to movie soundtracks mostly because they're very emotive. So if for certain scenes, I've planned out full scenes using certain songs. And I very rarely ever use songs with lyrics because if somebody's singing and their words, it can be very distracting, but everybody's very, very different with that. But yes, I do listen to music. I have my playlists. I have certain songs that I will literally listen over and over again because I'm like, oh, it just fits like the mood of a certain scene, and I just want it playing over and over again in my head until I actually write it. So that's very fun. So yes, I am 100% indie at this point in time. I have not dealt with publishers yet. I have a current project that I'm working on that I would like to have traditionally published, but like I said, it's not science fiction. Down the line, I have other projects that I would like to. So I would want to go through the traditional process of querying and finding an agent, and going through all of the proper channels and everything. So no, I have not dealt with publishers. I've had vanity publishers approach me, and vanity publishers are the ones that they want you to pay to publish your book, essentially. Proper publishers will not charge you, and there are certain vanity publishers that you are paying for, like the service, like helping with the cover or helping with the editor, like essentially what we do as indie authors, where we have to vet our editors and our cover designers. There are vanity presses that will like have it all in one place for you, and that's fine. But there are other vanity presses you have to watch out. Like they're like, what are they called? We call them, they're like, not publishers. There's another word. It was super cute and clever. But they want you to pay not only to publish it, but then they actually end up keeping some of the rights of your book, or they also try to charge you an arm and a leg, saying that they can get you, like great marketing and all this stuff. And they don't actually. Like you end up spending a lot of money for practically nothing. So I mean, you only go for a vanity publisher if you're actually paying to utilize, say, like their editor or cover design, and things that, so you don't have to looking at those services that are vetted by this company. That's different. Or you find a small press that for them, like, they will still do the editing and they will do the marketing and they know their niche audience, but they may, okay. Sorry guys, I'm going to check real quick. Apparently the Spotify, you know what? It's because, let me fix that then for you guys. Because I think I copied it from somewhere and it's not the full link, which is very silly. So let me get onto Spotify and get the proper, on this one or is on this one, I think. I will fix this for you guys. Can we? Okay. All right. So. God Queen, and then I realized also my Last Imperator it's not working. Okay, so I think, all right. You guys want to check that out again? I think. It's not actually work. Yeah, I think because what I did was I had copied the description from like a different video onto it, and I think because what YouTube also does is like it cuts off. It doesn't show the whole link, but that link works fine. But when you're trying to copy that and then bring it over, because it's an incomplete link, then therefore the link does not work. So that'll teach me. I should have just made sure to copy the link from the original channel. If you guys want to check it out. Yes, YouTube is clipping my link. The links are not, I don't think they're on Instagram. Instagram. At the moment, no. I did actually use it. Is there a way to support small booksellers when purchasing indie authors, or is Amazon the only way? That is a good question. Especially with print, I purposely went through Ingram Spark. So technically, yes, they should be available to all. Yay, links work. Okay. They should be available. At the moment, the ebook is through Amazon, through Kindle Unlimited. It's what I'm testing out for the next few months because believe it or not, Kindle owns like 90% of the ebook market. And by not going Kindle Unlimited, I wasn't sure if I was missing out on that market. So fortunately, you can do it in like 3-month increments. So I figured I would try that out for a few months and see what the difference is. So far, has actually gone quite well. So we'll see how that goes. Worst case, if it doesn't, then I just take it off of KU, and then I can republish it on other platforms. But that's the ebook. The print is available everywhere. I remember looking at there was like a small indie seller up in Lafayette, so near Purdue University, or even in like Bloomington where I went to school. And yes, you can find it on their website. My books, they should be available. I would, if there's a small bookseller that you like, I would suggest trying them out and asking them. It should be available. I'm not entirely sure, but Amazon is definitely not the only way. So this was this question. So yeah, check your favorite small booksellers. Do any of you guys listen to music while writing, or do you have favorites? Figured I'd ask you guys questions too. You guys are asking such awesome questions. Oh, have I thought about doing book reviews on my channel? Ooh, write code. Code, awesome. I have thought about it. I did actually do reviews for a while on my blog. I think it's even on my website on ML Tishner. I used to do this thing called lettering in literature because I love lettering, and so I would like make these really fun photos of like I would take a quote from the book and then letter it, and then have the book, and then have this like really pretty outline, this like lay for Bookstagram. They didn't People really didn't really care for it, or I just wasn't patient enough. I don't know. It's a lot of work. It was a lot of work. And then with that, I also did some reviews. I had done those reviews for a while, but then once it came down to releasing the God Queen, I realized I just didn't have time. So yeah, I haven't done that. But what I have noticed, for example, I did try TikTok briefly, that a lot of people will talk about reviews on TikTok because you can make it quick and snappy. If and when I have the energy for such things, maybe I'll go that route. I don't know. But yeah, with on this channel, that would be something that I'd have to be careful with. Like I do try to do some reviews, but I try to keep it in a way that's with books, but still something that has to relate to Germany. So I can still have that like expat bit, which is why I was able to do like Perry Rodan, for example, or if I did like German movies, or even better, like Dark, for example, because that's German sci-fi, which is like absolutely my jam. And Perry Rodan, of course, is German sci-fi, which is just perfect. So a lot of that's like I need to like read more of that so that I can have more content, because that's very fascinating stuff, and at the same time that like combines everything for this channel. Yeah. Ooh, this is good. Wrote my thesis to writers of Rohan. Scientific papers have been harder to write with music, but for sure listen to music during figure making or citations. Oh yeah. Yeah, and that's what I mean. Like I use movie soundtracks or without lyrics because I I find that it can be very distracting, but I mean, the Lord of the Rings soundtrack is very I'm assuming it was from the Lord of the Rings soundtrack, unless there's a band called Riders of Rohan that I don't know. But movie soundtracks are very emotive. Like for example, the Last Imperator. I listened a lot to the Interstellar soundtrack. So if you look, I'm pretty sure I have a lot of songs from Interstellar on the playlist. And I love that movie, and I love just like how it makes me feel and everything, and so much of the epicness and the space of it all. Like I just felt it was so fitting for so much of the scenes that take place in space for this book. And yeah, that was just really fun, and I loved it. But I can easily see when you're trying to work on something else, and that music is like, it's like getting into your brain and telling you should be thinking about this. So yeah, it's I know it's pretty much just up to each person whether writing with music or not is even helpful. Any other questions, guys? Or anything else you want to know? Do some of my friends become part of my stories? That's a good question. I have some friends have inspired characters. I definitely don't want to say that like these characters are my friends. Like there may be some aspects. Like Krona, for example, was inspired by a very close friend of mine, especially her I would say bluntness, her unwavering loyalty. Like these are very good attributes to have in a friend, and and like those aspects were kind of the springboard for Krona. And of course, I mean, Krona, I wouldn't put Krona and my friend together and say they are the same person. They're not. But I took these awesome qualities from my friend that I was like, I want Krona to have these qualities. And then from there, then Krona kind of created like a life of her own. And I did that with other characters as well. Or I have also taken some background from different characters. I have my family has very colorful history, so I will take bits from my family history and interweave it into different characters' history. Like Bronx, for example, you find out in The Last Imperator, you find out a little bit more about his family history, his very complicated family history, which is from my own family. It is real. The actual who I will not name names, but it's I like to take what I can from real life because real life is just so fascinating, and why not? Like it can be very inspiring. Haha, but you don't let your friends die in your books, do you? Not yet. That is, I think that's part of why I try to make sure that when I do create characters that are inspired by friends, that they end up taking a life of their own, because I don't know where my characters may end up going. It definitely, if God forbid, I do have to kill them off, it has to be with meaning. I'm just not going to kill them off for the sake of doing so, because then I feel like it cheapens the character. But if I do, I want to make sure there's enough disconnect so my friend doesn't think I killed them all off. that would kind of suck. uh, hmm. Am I watching the Luis Miguel series on Netflix? I am not. I did actually watch the Selena series. I pretty much as soon as I found out part 2 came out, I binge watched it in a day. I grew up listening to Selena, so of course uh, it was so awesome just like listening and singing along with the show. But Luis Miguel, I haven't been like that big of a fan of Luis Miguel growing up, but I feel like I do have to watch it. And there's also Jenny Rivera also on Netflix that I also need to watch. So I need to watch more Spanish stuff. It's been so long since I have really I haven't been in the States in almost 2 years. So it's been a while since I've been really able to speak Spanish. So I've been trying to do it with Netflix by watching stuff in Spanish to practice. So, or at least like to get my hearing, like the listening skills back. Ah, Who Kills Sarah? I have not seen it. That keeps showing up on my recommendations. I will definitely have to try that out. Will there be a pandemic in your world? That is a very good question. I feel like in the history of this world, there was kind of a nuclear fallout. What I had, pandemic, not quite. Uh, it's I don't know. Like I almost worried if it's maybe like too soon. I feel like we need to have maybe a break from like real life pandemic before you start seeing it in literature, since it's like escapism. Unless, there is actual like really weird romance on there. Like somebody actually wrote a romance involving the Rona. It's out there. Like, so there is a market for it, I guess. But I don't know. I haven't really thought about needing a pandemic right now in this world. But at the same time, though, like if I feel like that's justifiable, then yeah, why not? We have the experience of it now. So, but I'm interested in your opinion. Would you agree that Netflix often tells the same story with different paint on it, like really often? I that's a really good point. my big problem with Netflix is that they will invest in really great stories, but then they usually cancel at about the 3-season mark because they're like, oh, we need to always have something new, 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 new. And I can easily see that, yeah, the same story, but with a different paint on it. Because they're just like, oh, they're so worried about like trying to get more subscribers by offering new things that you can't get anywhere else. But yeah, after a while, I don't know, like it ends up making a lot of their stuff feel hit or miss because some of the good stuff that they have, like Sense8, or I was even watching like The Chilling Adventures of Sabrina. I grew up watching Sabrina the Teenage Witch. So watching this new version of Sabrina was really awesome. And they at least got it to 4 season, but even then they're like, it doesn't matter if it's doing well. They'll just be like, And I don't like that. Like, I don't know, if I ever had an opportunity to work with Netflix, I would be very concerned with that. Why particularly Netflix, many things are retelling the same stories. Yeah, that's why I wouldn't necessarily say it's just Netflix, but I do feel like Hollywood in general, you see a lot, like, the direction that a lot of Hollywood films appear to be going, from my observation, going big and telling the same stories, using the same directors or styles or whatever. So it all just feels the same. And, what used to be, there used to be, the availability for smaller indie films, but it's like, you can't have that anymore because you have to, the idea is to appeal to global audiences. And I actually had discussed this as I did an interview with one of my closest friends who's a screenwriter out in LA. And we did discuss a lot about like stories and what studios are looking for specifically in the US. And, they'll, one thing that she had talked about was, the main character, the protagonist, always has to be in search of a dream or in pursuit of a dream. It's not somebody who's just like, Joe Schmo working in a factory and this is, their like their everyday life. You always have the same sort of aspiration. And yes, Hollywood is not about the actual story anymore. It's very true. It's always just about like, it feels like it's about like the hype and essentially just selling to Latin America and the Chinese market. That's another huge thing that I don't want to go too much into detail on, but that is part of the reason why so many things are happening in terms of I almost want to say like lack of diversity and stuff. It's very trying to appeal not just to American audiences, because where the money is at is a lot of times internationally. And so, you're trying to please everybody. And the saying, I think, is like, you work so hard to please everybody, you end up pleasing no one. And I feel like that is what's happening with a lot of Hollywood films. They're trying to make it approachable for everyone. And in the end, they're not, like you said, not about being the story anymore. It's about like some packaged product that lacks some substance. That's my opinion. The international meal that everyone is able to eat with no spices at all. Yeah, that's a very good metaphor. It's very true. Very true. Like I said, you try to please everybody, but you end up pleasing no one because it's just. Oh, yes. This is really good, yes. And remaking good foreign movies just to have American actors in it. Seem die beste Freunde in Honigkenkopf. And ironically, with Honigkenkopf, because it was a Til Schweiger movie, it was Til Schweiger who remade it in English with American actors. And like, the movie was perfect by itself. But yes, I feel like it's trying to appeal to American audiences because Americans don't like subtitles, or they don't really like foreign films for, whatever reason. And so, the only way to get Americans to watch is by having Americans in it. And what you have is a story that just, it's a shadow of the original. And, yeah, Oh yeah, Ziemlich Beste Freunde. I don't think it was a French film, if I recall. I don't remember what it's called. It was, yeah, we've seen it in German, but I don't think it was a German film. But yeah, I don't know. I find it awkward and painful to see like an American remake of a foreign film. Oh, it's French. Yes. Yes. Even the best of fun was French. Thank you. All right, guys. FYI, we're getting close to the 2-hour mark, which is so awesome. And I think I may have to end it then. So I wanted to make sure if you maybe have any last questions, if you enjoyed it, would you like for me to do another live stream down the line? I personally had fun. You guys are amazing people. I've been so friendly and asked some great questions, and I enjoyed this talk. And definitely, I enjoyed doing this, so I can definitely see myself doing it again. You're welcome, Shirley. So yeah, there's any other lasting questions, we'll go ahead and you can ask them now. And if not, you can ask them in the comment section. I think there's a comment section for this. Last question. My least favorite German food. Oh no. Oh no. Spätzle mit Linsen. Actually, it's the Linsen. It's the lentils. Sorry, guys. Lentils. I am not a fan of lentils, and Kathleen can attest to this. And it's so like it's like one of the holy foods here in this region, and like it's one of my husband's favorites. And I don't like lentils. Kathleen's is truth. Yeah. Yeah. That's Peruvians also eat lentils. Actually, I will admit though, there was an Afghani restaurant that would make this amazing lentil soup. And that's like the only way on God's green earth you can get me eat lentils. But the way Peruvians make it and the way Germans make it, I'm like, nah, no, thank you guys. No, thank you. I'll eat the other stuff, but you can eat my lentils. I don't want it. Black lentils. All right. I have to keep an eye. I'll keep an eye on. Milben cases worse. If you want to tough it someday. I will keep an eye. Oh gosh. I will keep an eye on that. All right, you awesome people. I think I'm gonna go. I want to finish my pizza. I haven't finished all my pizza yet, and it's just like staring at me now. So it was awesome chatting with you guys. Like I said, you guys have been so friendly and wonderful and asked such great questions. And I will see about when I will do another live stream, because this was just really fun and getting to know you people. And yeah, thank you so much. Yes. I will enjoy my meal. I'm very excited because it's like, eat me. So, yes. But like I said, if you have any other questions, I think there should be a comment section on here. So you can just go ahead and comment afterwards, and I will do my best to answer them. So I hope you guys have a great rest of your evening or rest of your day. Some of you are not in Europe. Those of you who are in the Americas, whether north or south, enjoy the rest of your day, because I think it's still pretty early. So bye, guys.